Hello there everybody, it is Swacer back again today, and this is going to be my review for Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett titled The Return of the Mandalorian. Now I'm a little bit pressed for time, so this video is going to be on the shorter side, but I do want to give you guys my overall thoughts on this episode and talk about the things that I loved. Alright, first up, my rating for this episode is a 10 out of 10. Without a doubt, this was one of the best episodes of Star Wars content that I think we've ever gotten, period. It was so freaking cool. Now I have been seeing people say that as a Mandalorian episode, it's a 10 out of 10, but as a Boba Fett episode, it's a 0 out of 10, because Boba Fett himself was not in an episode of his own show, which I did have minor problems with in the beginning, but as I think about it, I think this episode served more as an interlude. Now, for those who don't know, a lot of books sometimes have interludes, which just kind of take a sidestep from the main narrative of the story to focus on something else that will eventually tie in with the, the main narrative later on. And I think that's what this is. I think that's why there's 7 episodes instead of 6 or 8 in this show. I think that this one had to focus on the Mandalorian to better connect with the overarching story later on. With that said, I do still think it would have been a lot better if he showed up at the end of the episode alongside Fennec Shand to recruit Mando himself. Why that wasn't the case, I'm not sure, but maybe he's just out recruiting other muscle, hopefully Bosk, Dengar, and some other familiar bounty hunters. But I mean, it's really hard to worry about that when the rest of the episode was so freaking good. I mean, it opened up with the Mandalorian making his return and then eventually igniting the Darksaber and using it in combat against a bunch of Klatooinians as he's trying to take out his bounty, which, to put in one word, was very wizard. And then as the episode progresses, we get Mando reuniting with the Armorer and Paz Vizsla. We find out that they survived on Navarro, and between these 3 characters, we get this huge long chunk of time that is just dedicated to them, basically discussing the history of Mandalore, the Darksaber, Clan Vizsla, and all of this really cool stuff that, as a fan of the Clone Wars and Rebels who has been watching all of this Star Wars content for the longest time, it was really fulfilling to get to see all that happen. I could connect with it a lot better than I think some of the people, some newer fans who, aren't really familiar with the lore to this point. But what this episode also did was it served as a perfect stepping on point for those new fans who aren't really, as in tune or familiar with all of the Mandalore, as one could say. And this was especially evident in the duel between Paz Vizsla and Din Djarin because there were some very clear direct parallels to when Kanan was training Sabine with the Darksaber in Star Wars Rebels. And, just the Night of a Thousand Tears, the Destruction of Mandalore, as somebody who's grown up watching the Clone Wars, we've already interacted with the planet of Mandalore before. We know a lot of the history about that. And so getting to see it be just absolutely obliterated was really chilling. And I just feel like I was able to connect with that better, like those 2 sequences, a lot more than some other fans who might not be as in tune with all of this lore that has been established in other material. But like I said, it still served as that perfect stepping on point for these newer fans to kind of catch up on all of this lore that they might not have been familiar with. And I think that's honestly the best part about this episode, because whether you're a new fan or somebody who's been watching all of this Star Wars content for years, everyone was able to enjoy this episode. There was references and callbacks and tie-ins and Easter eggs to literally everything as well. Like, not to mention, there was callbacks to the original trilogy, the prequels, to the sequels even, and some of the video games, Jedi Fallen Order, with the BD unit showing up, and as we've already mentioned, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. There was something there for everybody, and, whether you're a new fan, just getting in on all of this, or if you're an old fan, you get to connect and recognize all of these cool little nuanced details. There was so much passion and care put into this episode specifically. I really appreciated every single part of it, and I just think it speaks volumes to the team that is behind this project. Not to mention the fact that we got to see Din Djarin the Mandalorian deck out and chrome up a Naboo N1 starfighter and then fly it through the pod race sequence on Tatooine. That was something I didn't know I needed, but was very appreciative of that we got to see, because that thing was phenomenal, the entire sequence. Also, I really like the character of Pelimoto now. I had mixed feelings on her at first, but now she's like one of the funniest characters in Star Wars. And also at this point, it's very clear that Din is missing Grogu, and by the end of the episode, we find out in his interaction with Fennec Shand that before he agrees to help Boba Fett, he's going to go visit a little friend, who is, of course, Grogu, who is, of course, with Luke Skywalker. So I'm curious to see if we're going to get to see those 2 characters in Chapter 6, or if this interaction between all of these is going to take place between 5 and 6, and that we don't actually get to see it. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to find out. And I'm also curious to find out what it is that Din Djarin had made for Grogu. The Armorer made him something out of Beskar. Now, a lot of people have been saying that it could be chainmail armor, and I think that's very likely, because we did see, those chain-type loop things in the episode. But how cool would that be? If Grogu gets Beskar chainmail armor, that might be one of the coolest things I think any of us will ever be able to witness. I also want to say that after witnessing this episode, I really want Bryce Dallas Howard to get her own film, or maybe an entire series. Yes, Jon Favreau wrote the script, but I want to focus on her execution of that story, because I thought it was brilliant. It is clear that she is a very passionate Star Wars fan, and obviously a very talented director, and I would love to see more of her in Lucasfilm. And just like the past couple of videos, guys, I'm going to attach some of the TikTok videos where we talk about smaller references and Easter eggs, so hopefully you guys enjoyed these clips as well. That crime boss that Din Djarin is talking to in the beginning of the episode, what type of alien is that? Well, that is an Ishitib, an alien design that made its first appearance in the original trilogy, but has also shown up in the prequels and some of the animated projects and some of the video games as well. Also, to the left of that character, you can also spot a Quarren. The little Beskar gift that Mando has for Grogu, the wrapping that it's in is shaped like Grogu's head. I know there's people out there that are going to tell me that this is just a coincidence. Not a chance. This was a deliberate choice, and it's adorable. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. Like I said, I thought this episode was a 10 out of 10. It was absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait for Chapter 6. Stay tuned for more Star Wars content. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, drop a like. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, may the Force be with you all. Always.